All right, I think we're good. Morning, everybody. So I'm going to talk here first, and then I'm going to talk to you.
What's up, everybody?
So we're trying this out, and then this is our audio right here. So we're always changing things around here. So we're for another episode of podcast, and we're each week I feel like we get like one step. We get a stripe on our belt on our podcast game. We get better each week.
Yeah.
So how you feeling today, Coach?
Doing good. Had some having my protein
coffee.
This is my protein shake with my oats.
Oh, protein shake.
Dates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, protein shakes are. I normally have mine every morning. I didn't have mine this morning though because I was on the way out the door. But
you lift this morning?
I can't. I can barely get out of bed. Like I popped my rib ab something, and I can't. Scarlett crawled in bed with me last night, and I went to go push her over. I couldn't even push her off because I just this whole twerking motion. It's a little painful, but we're not here to talk about my injuries. I do plan to lift sometime today, however light. So
me too.
But we're talking about summer. So summer is, you know what I love about Michigan is literally once it hits 55 degrees, we're like, yo, summer's here. It's no longer 6 degrees. So now everyone's already talking about summer plans. I'm pretty sure there's a guy who's unwrapping his boat as we speak, so that's just kind of their, that's summer, Michigan summer. Meanwhile, people in Florida are still in winter coats.
When we get 50-degree weather, it's like yesterday I came to work in a tank top. And
well, if I had your arms, I would come to work. I would come to work in a tank top too.
Bro, as soon as we get some sun in the 50s, it's like t-shirt, tank top. We're already thinking we're in June and July.
Right,
so,
right.
I mean, that's Michigan.
So we're talking about kind of on that same topic. This week we're talking about how to overcome distractions or hurdles or obstacles in your summer plans.
Yeah. And
continue getting to class, continue getting your kid to class, and kind of what that looks like.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, and you know what? I think that's a challenge that both kids and adults have this time of year. The weather changes, the sun is out and we get a little rain, couple sunny days, and just things you can feel the change in the air and you just want to be outside.
Yep.
So I think everybody's going through that. It's like the last thing you want to do is go back indoors for any kind of activity.
Right. So I guess the first question is, how do you keep? We'll say it from a parent's perspective, and then we can talk about adults. But how do you keep your kid? They're out playing with their friends. In fact, I had one kid. He was sobbing. Right. He was in class the other day. He was on the mat. It was like that. I think it was the first 60-degree day we had, and he was crying. I was like,
felt like 80.
I was like, Brody, dude, what? Did you get hurt? What happened? And he was like, I had to leave my friends to come here. And I was like, dude, what are your friends? He's like, it was the first nice day we've had. And I was like, okay, so your friends don't train jiu-jitsu though. I was like, did you know you were training today? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, dude, there's going to be a lot more warm days. Okay. Yeah. I promise. Plus you're learning jiu-jitsu there. What were they even doing? He's like, they were just playing outside. So how do you combat that as a parent?
I over the years, I really like to study parents and people that are successful, including kids. If kids are making it to class or kids are doing the right things, they're going to the activities. If you're seeing parents in here on those nice days, I mean, we take for granted that and we forget that it takes work to get them here. And I really like to get the feedback of you're here again. How are you doing it? You're here again. Your son is here. Your daughter's here. Yeah. What and why are you guys here on a day like this? And what makes you so consistent? And that's, I think that's a question that a lot of parents who have trouble are asking and want to know the answer to, And I think in short, all kids are different.
Yeah.
All kids are different. And, kid A and B are going to have different, it's going to take different type of tactics. I call them tactics with kids to get them in.
Yeah, for sure. Well, because they respond different, right? You have, you've got these sets of tools, and this is this is what we talk about, like even with our coaches, right? Like you got different sets of tools.
Yeah.
My father, he had pretty much one tool. He had a hammer. Like that's what he used for everything, right? Like so, like metaphorically speaking, that's a tool. And there's a time when that's needed, right? But then there's other tools. There's you can use communication with them, just kind of leveling with them. I'm a big fan of motivating them to do something, right? Like if I were to tell you, like if I said, okay, let's take we'll take your parent, right? And if you knew that you were going to do something that was going to anger your father, that might persuade you from doing something.
Yeah.
But if I knew that I was going to do something that would disappoint my father or let him down, well, that's going to be far more motivation for me.
Yeah.
And so it's always like I like to use that kind of pause, like, hey, I know you can do better than this, right? Like do you believe? I believe you can do better than this. You can do better. Yes. Yeah. And so like that, kind of give them that to you have to future pace them, right? So what are your kids like? Give me an example. What are your kids doing this summer? By the way, so apparently you're the cool dad in the neighborhood, right?
I don't know.
You're the cool dad. So I saw a picture on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure I saw you like doing a crossover and like sinking 3-pointers with the neighborhood kids over at against all the 16-year-olds. So,
I was being called old man.
Okay, well,
yeah, they're
compared to 16-year-olds, you are old, right? You're like 3 times their age. But what do you like? So when they're doing something like that, they're out playing basketball, whatever they want to play, basketball. If they're out riding 4-wheelers, whatever they want to do, how do you say, okay, it's time, it's time for jiu-jitsu now?
Yeah.
How do you combat that to make that an easy transition?
It's, to be honest, because I'm a parent, and I go outside and see the sun, I'm like, holy cow, I want to be out here. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And it's not like, well, you got to do this and then you're going to be good. You're going to have some resistance with kids. And, time management with kids is, we're learning. I'm always learning as a parent is, you have to use better time management and talk about times when you have 20 minutes to go outside now. Yep. You can go outside for a few minutes now. Kids have a habit of wanting to taking the path of least resistance when it's time to go do something else.
Absolutely.
So one of the tools that we use is getting them out earlier on, because after like 20 or 30 minutes, it doesn't really matter what kids do. They're bored.
Yep.
Like my son came home from football. He played football in the park yesterday. And, hopefully we got some parents on here listening. Nancy, my wife, has this rule. Okay. She's like, okay, when Issa comes home and he wants to go play football, find out where he's going and at least the name of one kid that's going to be there. So, if anything ever happens, we have like a reference point. So, it's just funny because she came home yesterday and she's like, where's Issa? I'm like, he's behind the school on the football field. And one of the kids whose name is going to be Ahmed H. So anyway, I asked him, I said, how's football? What did you guys play? Because him and I worked on some football drills. Did you use any of this stuff? I helped you, et cetera, et cetera. He's like, yeah, but it was fun. I used the stuff that we were working on, but after a little while, we just end up playing, like kind of doing whatever. It just got unorganized. And I think that if you manage the time that kids go outside, now we're talking about outside, we're not talking about the video games, get them out sooner before it's time to leave, they're going to see that, okay, because with no structure in children, they always end up doing nothing, really.
Sure.
So I think getting them out earlier to enjoy that day or to get some play out makes it easier when it is time to go.
Yeah, and I also think future pacing them is important, right? Future pacing them, like if I know Scarlett.
So when you say future pacing, what does that mean?
So I mean, like you tell them what's going to happen.
Okay.
Like you tell them what to expect. Humans like to know what to expect. Kids are not. Adults are just large. Adults are just large kids.
Yeah.
Some adults are still mentally kids, you know, like, but like they're just large kids. Adults, I want to know what to expect. Kids want to know what to expect. So, hey, what's up, Scarlett? All right, hey, so the sun's out. Okay, so we're gonna go do A, B, and C, and then we can have lunch or whatever. Whatever the summertime schedule is. We're assuming she's not going to summer camp that day, and then we're gonna do. Maybe we'll go grab go-karts, whatever we're gonna do. But remember, we still have jiu-jitsu tonight. Like before she eats breakfast, she knows she's doing jiu-jitsu tonight. And then at lunch, be like, okay, we're going to be able to play for a couple more hours, and then we're going to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So that it's not this big surprise of like, oh, like we've all been in that like, oh, man, I forgot I have to do that. And this is the last thing I want to do.
Yeah.
Right. And what they're saying is kids, they have trouble realizing. I've never had a parent bring a kid in and like to class and the kid be like, this is absolutely boring. They have a blast once they're here.
Yeah. And all parents say that.
It's the getting the gear on. It's the getting the gear on. It's the finding it. Is it? And this, we told our kids to ask your parent, tell them you want to be self-dependent, independent, learn how to do your own laundry because you're responsible for your uniform. I promise you, but if a 5-year-old, I say, where's your belt? And they say, Mom lost it. I say, no. That's your belt. That's not your mom's belt. Where's your belt? Like you're responsible for it. So you're kind of future pacing them with that and letting them know this is going to happen. So it's not a big surprise. They know it all along, and they can kind of like, okay, wow, boy, they're really not letting up on this. Because if they know it's not going to be a battle, like if I'm telling you this is how it's going to be, like Scarlett is a key negotiator. She is a key negotiator. If I tell her to do something, right? You take, for example, eating her food. I was like, Scarlett, eat your strawberries, please. She's like, Dada, how many strawberries? I was like, eat them all. Just eat your strawberries. Like 3 more strawberries, and then I'm all done. Be all done. And I was like, no, just eat them all, please. And she's like, Dada, I'm full. I was like, you're not full. There's no way you're. And so she'll negotiate back and forth. But jiu-jitsu is a non-negotiable. It's not non-negotiable because it's a life skill.
Yeah.
It's a life skill. And especially the way we do it here. Like it's not just jiu-jitsu class. We've been going pretty hard on that. Like it's not just jiu-jitsu class. Because I mean martial arts class you can get pretty much anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So have you found that? I mean, you got 6 kids. You got like, a good portion of a baseball lineup in your house. So like you ever use something like that to like, kind of future pace them or prep them like, hey, we're doing this tonight. So whatever you do before that time, it's on you. But like we're doing jiu-jitsu tonight. We're training tonight.
Yeah. We like with kids, they don't really like surprises unless it's like, let's go get a Slurpee or let's go to Chuck E. Cheese. They don't like surprises. They do like to know what to expect, what's coming next. So, preparing them for what your schedule is. And, with children, you got to repeat it again and again and again and again because they remember what they want to remember.
Yeah.
And I agree. Future pacing them and preparing them on what your schedule is today, tomorrow, this week, next week. And I notice with kids, when you do that so regularly, they have really good memories. They start to remember and realize what days they have their activities, what times. It doesn't happen right away, but my kids know their schedule.
Yeah. And
it's not because they're smart or special kids, it's because we've repeated it again and again and again. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for example, is our jiu-jitsu days.
Yeah, for sure.
Other days is your soccer days. Other days is your football days. A weekend is your whatever days. So
how do you? Okay, so that's a good point. Even Kevin mentions on here. He's like, kids have a schedule. Kids love routines. They just don't realize it. Scheduling for transition times and having them occupied during transition is huge in teaching kids. So and Kevin's one of our. He does really, really well. A word on Kevin, actually. I don't know if he's still on anymore. Like he's routinely a ref at grappling industry. Pretty much just about every tournament I've seen.
Kevin who?
DeVries.
Yeah.
He refs at just about every tournament.
Yeah.
And so obviously kids all the way through adults. And so he even seeing how he kind of handles that.
Yeah.
And even under that pressure, he's one of the most credible refs that I've seen, and so, and talking about that routine and that schedule and even, prepping them for that. But your kids do other sports.
Yeah.
Scarlett, as of right now, jiu-jitsu is the only thing she does.
Yeah.
And it's a requirement.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I'm not saying they're like, so coach, is your daughter going to be a black belt? I was like, I'm not, if she digs it that far, that's cool. She can take it that far.
Yeah.
Like she has to have a purple. She has to earn a purple. After that, you can do whatever you want. But if she wants to do gymnastics, I'm not opposed to it. If she wants to do something else, I'm not opposed to it. You need to know this also. Because it's not, I always feel like Denzel Washington. It's not a game. Like, this isn't a game. Like, this is a life skill.
Yeah.
And especially the way we teach it here, right? So how do you balance that, I guess, the other sports with that? Like, what if they just want to do more sports and something has to get cut out?
Well, here's the thing that it's really become apparent to me over the last few years. Like all of us, all the parents who found jiu-jitsu and have been in here for a year, everybody sees the change in their children, right? Everybody knows that martial arts and jiu-jitsu really develops their kids, gives them more confidence.
Yeah.
As adults and as instructors and black belts, we know that the process is never ending.
Yep.
In jiu-jitsu, the first, few years, you hit some highs, you kind of coast. Couple more years, your technique, your maturity, your physical maturity, emotional maturity, you take some big leaps.
Yeah.
And I think what happens, what parents see is the kids have a little confidence in the first year. They want to try anything and they're not afraid to do it.
Yeah,
and
sure.
you know what? And they know that jiu-jitsu, you got to grind every day.
Jiu-jitsu is the most difficult. It's more difficult than anything, though.
Oh, it's harder than any other sport.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And
I'd say mentally, because like someone came on one time, like gymnastics, I'm not going to, like, that's physically demanding. But you're not being choked by another. Like I can't stress that enough. The stress of that comes into like you're being we don't label it like this, but you're being attacked.
Yeah.
They're coming here, they're being attacked every day.
And you know what? I do want to say for the parents that have kids in other sports, any sport that you do will come and translate to jiu-jitsu and vice versa.
Yeah.
But I do think that jiu-jitsu will definitely give you more an emotional barrier to protect you from the other kids. And I'm not talking about physical.
Yeah.
I'm talking about being in a place where you're learning something new, you're having to problem solve, and you're not getting emotionally broken down where you can't do the football or basketball or whatever. Like, there's an emotional toughness all sports give you.
Yeah.
But I believe from my experience is jiu-jitsu gives them the confidence to kind of keep that barrier and have it not be penetrated.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes into like what they're learning from their coaches, because we do a lot of character development here, like and a huge win even from our parents' night out, right? Like we're playing dodgeball. It was a travesty. 20% of the kids had never played dodgeball before.
Really?
I was like, wait a second. What do you mean you've never played? They're like, I've never played, because it's like outlawed, right? Like just too many injuries, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was like, we're gonna play dodgeball today. So I taught them the rules, whatever. And of course, as kids do, I can't kid. There's 50 kids playing dodgeball. They're not calling themselves out.
Yeah.
And so now I got kids running up to me, and I was like, okay, guys, when you're out, I can't see everyone. You have to call yourself out. And I drew the line, and then one of CL was like, yeah, have integrity. I was like, what did you just, that was a word of the month, a month or two ago. I think it's 2 months ago. Yeah. And I was like, I gave him like a boatload of tickets. I gave him like 50 tickets. I was like, you have integrity. Do the right thing when no one's watching. Like, so that's that's honestly a win for me as a coach. So that's a lot about the kids. Let's kind of talk about both kids and adults, right? Because adults, we're going to get to this at the end. Adults are no different. We like summers. We like to party in the summer. We go on vacations.
For sure.
And you have a lot of those same outside forces, right? Like, you're like, oh, come on, hey, Mo, come on the boat with me, bro. You don't have to go to class. Mo, come on, let's go play volleyball. You don't have to go to class. Mo, come on, dude. There's this concert. Let's go. You don't have to go to class. You can always go another day. You can always go another day, right? So what does your routine of success look like getting to class? Like, we'll say as an adult, and then as we kind of talked about that with the kids, your routine, your future pace sum, you have your stuff ready, pull it out, whatever. But what does your routine of success look like to get to class?
For adults?
We'll say for adults. I think we hit it pretty well on the kids.
Yeah. So for adults, you have to earn it. Like you really have to earn it. If you have been training for 3 days a week, like consistently, or 2 days a week consistently, you have to earn the day off of work. I mean, like I don't know anybody who's seen, oh my God, it's a beautiful day, I'm playing hooky at work. You earned it. You're held accountable. You have to be there.
I know a few guys. I literally know a few guys. They're like, nah, bro.
I'm not going to work today.
I'm
I don't feel good. No, so like with adults, like I think that if you prepare yourself that the weather's going to break, we're going to have some amazing days out there. Like outdoors is screaming to come enjoy me. And I think you should. I think adults need that day off. Jiu-jitsu and working out is not an easy thing to do, but you got to earn it. You can't start working out last month and say, it's a nice day, I deserve it, I'm going to give myself a day off. You got to earn it. You got to put your time in. And, when you do, and it becomes like second nature to get to the gym to go work out, then take that day off. There's nothing wrong with it. Make that day up, a different day. Yeah. But you gotta earn it, and you gotta put your time in.
I'm very much, and let me know your thoughts on this, right? Like my expectations of jiu-jitsu class are always met.
Yeah.
I've never gone to class and been like, man, I wish I don't even know why I came today. Like I really wish I would have been on the boat, and I'm just saying the boat because like other people like it. I think it's a little played out, but like. My expectations of summer activities, I feel like it's one of these things like we play it up to what it's going to be better. Like, all right, we're going to go on again. I'll use the boat, bro. You're just sitting on a bench on the water. That's what a boat is, right? Like, and so,
I mean, that's people's like.
I understand if that's what you're into, right? But I'm trying to think of the only thing that I like summer activity I really enjoy. Like if I were like, yo, Fox, whatever, you just can't, whatever happens, I can't think of a scenario because even if it's outlawed, I'd probably still do it. Is jiu-jitsu, you can't do jiu-jitsu anymore. I love volleyball, specifically beach volleyball, right? But even that is like, I know what I'm committed to do, and I know myself. Because if I take one day off, it's really easy to extend that to 2 days off.
Yeah.
And that becomes really easy to take 2 weeks off. And if you take 2 weeks off of jiu-jitsu, you're towing a very fine line of never coming back.
Yeah.
And this is just from guys like who know it, or you're like, because it's so difficult to come back. You take 2 weeks off of jiu-jitsu, you're like, bro, these white belts are good. They've developed some like they're going to make my life miserable. Right. Like, unless if it's white and blue, you take 2 weeks off, they've learned some new stuff you're not hip to. Yeah. Like, it's just going to be a much harder time coming back. Same with working out. Like, you take a month off of working out, I'm like, I'm not going to do that, bro. I won't be able to walk after squat day. So, like, to me, the cost is too high.
Yeah. And, for the adults that are trying to make it into the gym and, okay, summer's coming up, I'm going to hit the water, I'm going to have the outdoor activities and just kind of hang out, enjoy it. Like one of the piece of advice that our students that I give is I say, look, if your max capability is to get 4 rolls in that day, just get 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I always preach leave room if you had to come back and train tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because if you're about to go to jiu-jitsu or you're about to go to the gym and work out and man, this is going to be a grind. This is going to be a tough one. I'm going to regret it after I leave. Yeah. You start to think like that before you go to class, and you're going to be like, oh, I can't do it today. I'm not feeling it today. I don't want to leave there all broken down. So get a little bit of training in. Just get a little bit of touches in at class or at the gym. And, like a 70% work rate, 60 to 70% work rate for the summer. And, that's that'll make it easier to get in there and not expect to be like, I can't walk after class. I'm beat.
I have a confession to make, bro. I'm not making this up. I used to call Amanda after work, after we'd get off like working a 10 or a 12 or whatever. And I would just call her to check in. I'd be like, hey, hey babe, what's going on? And in my head, All she had to do was ask me to stay home, and I would have stayed home. Like, come straight home, not gone to class, because I was looking for a way out, right?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I want to be good. Like, and so I was like, I didn't want her to like, I didn't want to be like, hey, so do you want me to come home? But I was like, yeah. So she's like, what are you doing? You going to class? And I was like, yeah, he's probably going to go to class. And she's like, okay, well, have fun. And I was like, if you had just asked, because I wanted an out, like, I was like, it's going to be so hard. Like, it's going to be so hard. And I'm so tired. Yeah. And I'm like, I just wanted an out. Right. And she got to the point, and then over the years, it was because she used to do it early on. Right. Before I think she realized just how important it was to me. And then now she'll be like, babe, I really want you to stay home, because especially with the different pregnancies or whatever, is having a hard time. I was like, okay, I'll stay home. She's like, but I don't want to be selfish. Like, I want you to go to class. Like, she knew what she was asking. Like, if she asked, she knew it was a big ask, right? Yeah. But like that same thing of, I know it's going to be difficult. Like, I was looking for an out, and she wouldn't give it to me.
And
like,
that, like, for our listeners we're talking about adults and how to get to class and how to make sure you stay in shape and continuously train your body and exercise throughout the summer. Like, you got to have somebody in your corner that understands the benefit of going to the gym and exercises. And that's who the phone call should be. Yep. When it's time to go to class. Yep. You know what I mean? That's who my wife personally would say, take off work, but don't take off jiu-jitsu. And I would do the same thing. I'd call and be like, all right, well, I gotta cut my day short and go to jiu-jitsu. Yeah. She's like, okay, she wouldn't make it easy for me. She wouldn't push me, but she wouldn't be like, no, don't go to the gym. You don't need to do it. She knows the benefit that I bring home after the jiu-jitsu. Yeah. But if I was like, you know what? I started one part of my professional day and I'm going to another. She'd be like, you know what? Come home, take a nap. Don't worry about it. You can go in later or just take the day off or something like that. But when it comes time to jiu-jitsu or going to the gym, we all have to have somebody in our corner that's going to make sure they kind of hold us accountable. They're not our motivational coach, but they know that the right thing to do for short-term and long-term is go to the gym. We'll talk about whatever later.
And like, I have no idea if there's any women or wives watching this, but like if we're being honest here, like if we're being honest, and I remember we were I think it was in Fort Worth, and might have been a year ago or so, and a lot of the black belts had brought their wives to that event, right? And the wives were actually none of the wives trained. And the wives were testifying about how, like, the benefit that they saw not only in their husbands, but of course they helped their husbands in the business, and their husbands through jiu-jitsu. And so they're like, jiu-jitsu it's incredible for these men to see these men empowered, and then what it does for them. And so they're testifying of the benefit of jiu-jitsu firsthand, of the version of their husband that they get from home, but then they also see it in their other members or everything else. Yeah. And these were wives, none of which train, right? Yeah. And so they're like, and so because it's beneficial, like you get a better version of a man when you train jiu-jitsu. Sure. And you'd be like, yo, Fox, you overplaying that. Like, I'm not overplaying that. I haven't heard that shit over football. Like, yeah, my husband's a lot better husband after playing, throwing after going to the bar, after going fishing, maybe hunting, after he's like had like 4 hours. At that point, you're in solitary confinement though. So like, it's like, you're just kind of, got your mind right. But like, how many times you go hunting? That's like a month out of the year or something. So
well, like the football practice, like any kind of physical activity, it does burn off a lot of energy. Sometimes it's negative energy. Like if you have kids and you've ever had them in a pool on a hot summer day, and at the end of the day, they're going right to sleep for you. So you got to remember, like all throughout the year, is that jiu-jitsu will put your kids right to sleep and take out all of that energy outside of them. Yeah. Sometimes they get a little rambunctious because it's like they overstayed their play in the sun. Jiu-jitsu will do the same thing. They come home and it's like, what the hell happened? I'm going through these physical and emotional changes that, they don't know what it is, but like for the most part, they don't know how to handle them. But for the most part, at the end of the day, just like swimming at a pool for hours and hours, the kids burn off so much like emotional imbalance and energy. They go right to sleep for you, and jiu-jitsu is gonna like really balance them out to give you that type of peace in a kid. And that's another motivator for parents and ourselves to kind of get to the gym and make sure we get them there.
Yeah. So how do you okay, this is a good question. How do parents coach their kid at home? So I say this all the time. Like on a good week, I've got your kid 5 hours. What's 7 times 24? It's 140 plus another 20, 168 hours. So I've got 5. We've got them for 5 out of 168.
Yeah.
Like it's unreasonable, and so it's unreasonable to. I am not your subcontracted parent.
Yeah.
Trust me when I say your monthly tuition won't even begin to scratch that surface if that's what you wanted. So like if you want me to parent your kids for you, it's not what I do. If you want to partner with us and what you have at teach at home gets reinforced here and what we teach here gets reinforced at home, it takes a village. We're that village, right? So so how do you coach? Like, what does that look like? Because parents, they're like, I don't know. Amanda's always sending me these TikToks of these mom TikToks of like, the warm weather's out. If you hear me screaming at my kids, it's because I asked them 3 times nicely. I promise I'm not a psycho mom. So like, what tools or how do parents coach their kids to how do they coach at home?
Time, getting back to the beginning of our class, I think time management is a big one. Sometimes it takes like putting a little timer on how long they could do one activity inside the house, when you're going to do another one, reinforcing the schedule of what kids are doing, because it's so easy to the schedule getting diluted and, parents not having anything to do with their kids and they just get stuck on the TV or the video games. So I think, going back to like one of the first things we discussed is coaching them on what their schedule is for the day, for the next few hours. And the more we repeat that, the easier it gets to reinforce wherever you're taking your kid for your child development.
Can I come to the parents' aid real quick? So I'm one of 5 kids.
Yeah.
To say that we were the best behaved kids would not be an accurate statement. And to say because let's face it, you can have great parents.
Yeah.
And absolutely obnoxious kids and rebellious kids.
Yeah.
Right? With a rebellious spirit.
Yeah.
It's natural.
I just got to say something there.
Yeah. Yep.
So we all know somebody families that have had like very, very problem kids.
Yep.
Like very, very
Absolutely.
bad ones. Yep. Like that took down the bad route. And I just got to put it out there that for parents that are watching, really good kids come from bad families, and really, really bad kids come from good families. Yep. Reinforcing whatever the culture and the behavior. So like parents, we have to be accountable for how our kids turn out, but we can only do so much. And I think that sometimes that, kids choose a path that is not, parents are always held accountable and responsible for their children's actions, right? But good kids come from bad families, and bad kids come from good families. And I just want to put that out there so, parents don't beat yourself. You have to be proactive, but I just had to say that. Yeah,
and that's kind of I think you knew where I was going with that, because that's kind of what I'm getting at, right? Like my mom, and I'll share my personal, I'm not going to speak on my siblings' behalf, though I wasn't the worst sibling. They, in my opinion,
I've met all of them except Philip, and
Phil.
Yeah, they're cool people. I like them.
Yeah. No, I mean, we all turned out great. We stayed out of prison. We did we raised we raised families and stuff. So but during the high school years, like two of us got expelled.
Yeah.
Right. And so now my mom was doing the absolute best she could. And so she's got like the social stigma from these other parents. Like, you're David's mom, right? You're David's mom because I made some bad choices, because I was rebellious.
Yeah.
It wasn't because my mom was a poor mother. right?
Yeah.
My mom did and as parents, of course, we're doing the absolute best we can.
Yeah.
Right. And so what you're dealing with, what it comes down to is consistent delivery of the message.
Yeah.
And that's
sure.
exhausting.
No
As a
doubt.
parent, that's exhausting.
That really is.
That's exhausting.
Yeah. 20 years later with my oldest son, like we don't stop delivering the message.
Yeah. Here we go. Coach Christian says, what do you do with a rebellious kid? Consistent delivery of that message.
Yeah.
Because I think as parents, what we want to do, like with adults, here's what we do. And we kind of get the message, right? Like if I tell whatever, I'm looking at Mo. For some reason, I'm giving you orders. I don't know why, but like I'm telling you to do something, and 4 times in a row you don't do it. I'm like, Mo, I need this done. Like I just want to put the hammer down, and like once and for all, if this doesn't, well, that's it, right? Your kid's gonna cry. They'll be quiet for a little bit. The next day they're gonna forget all about that. It's gonna go back to the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, but now, like Scott, like we have these mantras at our house, right? I was like, yo, Scarlett, are we throwing fits? Like, I have these cues. Are we throwing fits? Because they know what follows if you throw fits. There's consequences. Are you lying? Are you and that's it comes through 6 years of every day. Are you lying? No, Scarlett, finish your food. No, Scarlett, you know better. No, Scarlett, no, Landon. No, no. Like, you just need an auto recorder of like to just prompt the cue. Hey, Siri, she asked this again. Siri's gonna say something. Hey, Siri, she asked this again. Tell her the answer. But it's that repetition.
Yeah.
And that's what it's exhausting, So, and sometimes that's where we come into play, right? How many times have you told your kid something 800 times? 800 times.
Yeah.
And they hear it one time from someone else. They're like, Dad, I heard this thing today. It was really, really cool. It was really like, it was really like, this was crazy. You're like, have you heard that anywhere else? Yeah. No, nowhere else. Huh? Just, okay. And that's where the benefit of like having our jiu-jitsu coaches and our mentors and things like that.
Yeah.
We play, like I've had parent, like they do the subliminal, like sort of inception thing. They're like, hey, can you tell him this for me?
Yeah.
And they're like, can you give him this? He's going to listen to you. Yeah. He won't listen to me. My kids are not exempt. Yeah. Like Coach Nizmi, like if I want to be like, hey, yo, Coach Nizmi, can you tell Scarlett, for the love of all this, please do a bump and roll. Like, please. I've personally showed her 45 times. Yeah. Can you show her? Yeah. And so like that's kind of where that comes into play. So I know you had something to add to that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that like when parents are when you got your kids in activities and sports and you meet an adult and you're like, man, this adult is a good role model, and I want him to spend more time around him or her. Like, I'd love to get my son or my daughter mentored by this person. The truth is like there's no such thing as like a boot camp of mentoring and growing kids. It takes
there's no 2 weeks fast course.
No,
right?
Absolutely not. Like, you have to get your kids outside of the box, outside of the box that you're in, and expose them to other people or other organizations that you believe have the same, social and cultural values that you have. And that stuff's going to happen. Like, they're going to hear things from a coach that mom and dad have probably been repeating for forever
since birth.
Yeah. And you know what? It doesn't stop. So I think getting the kids out there and getting them the touches is you got to get them exposed to people outside of your like inner circle.
Yeah, familiarity a little bit can almost not get you the result. Apparently this was a hot topic. So we got some questions. So what? You just say the same thing over and over and over again? Yep. Yes.
Who's asking that?
Amanda. Yeah.
Amanda.
Same thing. Amanda Helka.
So Amanda, let me address that. It's if you got to repeat it for 20 years straight, then it doesn't get so personal. You don't get so angry. Like, I wish I would have, like, I really believed repeating something to kids after so many 100 times or so many years, it was going to like,
it's just going to click one day, right? They're going to know the answer by now, right?
Yeah. So you can't take it personal. And the answer is yes, because, whoever, when you start to get angry and starting to repeat this stuff, they really shut down.
And I want to add something to this, right? Like I might be alone in this, but persistence is an incredibly valuable trait.
Yeah.
Like how many times have you called a company or whatever? I need a quote for something. They get you a quote once and you never hear from them again.
Yeah.
I've had people follow up like just for forever. I was like, guys, look, I'm not doing it, but yo, your follow-up is on point. Like that's in the professional world, persistence and follow-up it's invaluable.
Yeah.
So I don't get upset about that the answer remains, right? And so, and I've literally been, and I've never thought about it like that. If you know that's what it's going to take, that's what you signed up for. He's right. You don't take it personal. I've been walking through the store and like we're shopping and Scarlett, of course, because the store marketer layouts like put all the toys at the end of the aisle when you just need soda. And so like, you're like, Dada, can we get this? Yeah, Dada. Yes, Scarlett. Dada. Yes, Scarlett. Dada. Yes, Scarlett. Can I get no, Scarlett? Dada. No, Scarlett. Like, no, like, and all the other, I'm watching all the other mothers laugh at me. Like they're literally like just laughing at themselves. They're like, cause they've been there probably 3 hours earlier. Right. So I think just don't put any emotion behind it. Now, if you of course, if there's got to be some consequences. You can't just say no. Like there has to be some consequences, but they vary.
Amanda's son's very smart, and you have to just persistence beats skill. Amanda, every day of the week, don't take it personal and have fun with it.
Yep.
What are the questions?
Just kind of just kind of a lot of almost parenting questions now. So I got one more. We'll come back to these questions at the end. I've got one more. We want to talk about summer success for adults, right? And specifically, we talked about like those who try to distract you from training, activities that try to distract you. But what does training look like on vacation?
On vacation.
What does training look like on vacation?
Like traveling away and vacation?
Yeah, it could be you're out of town for business. It could be you're on legit vacation. What is training like? What does training look like?
Well, if you're on your own or with like a friend, like you. Sure. So if you have
we'll say you're on family vacation.
Okay. If you have somebody like him or somebody else that like loves to work out, doesn't matter how late you get to sleep. They just ask you the question, are we working out tomorrow? And then you're like, oh shit. Okay. What time? 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Okay. So, having somebody to kind of keep you accountable is really, really, really important. I mean, critical. When you're on vacation, even though you're relaxing, that could be like a walk. The gyms are limited. They have limited supply at the hotels and things like that. So even when you go into the gym and you decide I'm going to work out on my vacation, there's only so much you could do, but that little amount, like I tell you, that makes your vacation 100 times better. Making a choice, like a healthy choice or going to the gym makes you feel so damn accomplished when you're on vacation and you're working out. Like that starts to build up an identity of who you are as a person. And to me, that's what it looks like. Just getting in there. It could be 10, it could be 30 minutes. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Just getting in there. Yeah. That builds identity.
And honestly, like, and that's like weight training, right? So weight training, working out. Absolutely. Like I don't vacation very well. One, because like I just kind of really love what we do here. Right. So I don't vacation very well. As someone else's idea of like, we're going to pop up and like hang out on the beach. And I'm like, how long are we here for? Like, how long are we here? There's nothing to do here. Like, there's just sand and beaches. Like what, like there's nothing to do. Right. So like that working out gives me like, I know it's serving a purpose. I know it's kind of consistent with what I think view is really important. And what something I'm always looking for, right? Like if I know where a huge portion and where we're going on vacation is how close the National Jiu-Jitsu Academy is. Like literally, like I'm gonna be like, all right, is there good jiu-jitsu there? It is there. And Amanda's like, now, do I train every vacation? No, not every vacation. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. but I try to, and a lot of times that's really cool. Now, what does that look like? Like, what are some pro tips for traveling? And if you want to train jiu-jitsu, like what would your advice be? Like what, so someone who's like, because you can't, I certainly can't, you certainly shouldn't just walk into a jiu-jitsu as a black belt and be like, yo, I'm here to train. Like, bro, they're gonna eat you alive. Like there's nothing more threatening. And like if someone did that, like a black belt's like, yo, I'm here to train, I'm like, so
Yeah,
you know,
not like
you can't do that.
No.
Like I wouldn't advise it because it's threatening, right? So so what are some pro tips?
It's not like looking up like a local gym and just showing up and say, hey, do you guys have a day rate? It's almost like walking into somebody's house.
Very much so. Very much.
You know, you kind of have to, it's not like many years ago where you could just show up unannounced. You have to call them, kind of set an appointment.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm in town. Do you mind if I come in?
Yeah.
So one of the suggestions, and we had Paul and what's Paul's wife's name?
My brother?
No, Paul Griffin.
Oh, Pam.
Yeah, Paul and Pam's daughter, Avery, she's been she's trained a lot, she's competed, and they travel and they do their own like little vacation thing.
Sure.
And they happen to be vacationing in Texas. And he asked me, you know, how far is our affiliate school? And it happened to be, you know, like 20 minutes away.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so they planned ahead. They called in there.
Arlington, yeah.
Yeah, Arlington, Dallas area. So, you know, they called up and they said, look, when is your kids' class? What days and times? I'm going to be in the area. Is it okay if I stop in? So planning your jiu-jitsu is just about, you know, connecting with your coach or your school and saying, hey, where's your local place?
Yeah.
And, you know, this is who we are. You know, do you have kids? Do you have adults? This is my rank. This is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And I'd say even if you weren't it wasn't an affiliate school, jiu-jitsu is such a welcoming community.
So. Yeah.
They love to have new people, new bodies, you know?
Yeah. We had a, like I do, you know, if someone's in from out of town, we do a little bit of it. Like someone's in from traveling, we do some vetting, right? Because every jiu-jitsu school is different. Their culture might be like, if he's coming from an MMA school, I don't need some dude from San Diego coming in here, injuring one of my white belts and then flying out of town. Right. Yeah. So like I do a little bit of vetting about that. But like, you're absolutely right. Like, and what can make it tricky because like, if you're on a website, like you fill out a form on our website, like you're going to get a call within like 60 seconds or 90 seconds or something. So usually, sometimes I got to follow up with these guys, be like, hey, so, you know, it's a month out, 2 weeks later, yo guys, like I'd really like to train. Like, is this cool? If not, I'll find somewhere, you know, like getting them to follow back up or getting them to return something. But it's always like this, like, I feel like I'm at a disadvantage when I go there. Cause I obviously like you're black belt, but you can't like roll at a black belt pace. Cause you definitely don't want to injure one of their guys. Right. Like just accidentally or whatever. And so you're kind of like, let's sort of like, okay, you start your attack and I'll sort of defend and kind of play like this, you know, this sort of way, just to be respectful to everything. Cause it's a really, you just tread light. I tread lightly, man. I'm going to get in line. I'm not going to speak out, you know, like I'm not like, cause I'm not here to make waves. Like I'm here to train. I don't want to upset anyone. I want to come back later in the week. Yeah. And that's really important. And Amanda is, you know, she used to come to the gyms with me. Like I remember, I think it was Gracie Baja in Orlando or Kissimmee. She would sit there and wait for me to be done with class, and then we'd leave and go grab dinner or whatever. And now she's like, "You just go. Like I'm gonna stay at the beach. Like I'm not going to the jiu-jitsu academy with you." But that's how important. That's how really important it is, I think. And knowing that and just planning, being intentional with that. You know, I'm going to go to these places.
So does going on does training or exercise on vacation make you feel better on vacation?
Yeah, I feel like I feel no matter how healthy I eat when I'm on vacation, I just don't relax well. I don't relax well at all. Like, because it's relaxing to me to do work for Metro. It's relaxing to me to work out. It's relaxing to me to train jiu-jitsu. If you go and we're like, yeah, we're going to go, you know, do any type of American vacation activity, I'm like, bro, bro, I could be doing anything else productive. Like relaxing to me is knowing that my actions are producing something. Yeah. If it's not, I have this cognitive dissonance that I'm like internally stressing out. Like I'm stressing out knowing I could be doing something, but instead I'm at this beach where there's no Wi-Fi and I'm like, I'm gonna freaking lose my mind. So books help. I don't vacation well at all. Like I routinely, you're like, yo, how's your vacation? How many times I'm like, it was good to be away with the family. I'm so happy to be back. I might almost be better off if I just take a staycation. Like I just stay at my house and like hang out with the fam and like I'm here, but I'm not like, like I might almost do that better. Well, are you the same way? Like, how about you?
I like to move on vacation. Yeah, I like to exercise. I like to we got energy in our body. Sometimes it comes out as an attitude. Yeah. Sometimes it comes out in some people start crying. Some people get stir crazy, but like exercise and movement in the body brings out those emotions and it really filters them into the right direction. So yeah, like exercising on vacation and exercising during the week, it helps you really filter out, strain all the bad negative energy out of the body.
For sure. Alan's got Mr. Allen, dude. He says I lead by example. Nico's taking the lead on a lot. We're talking about, I should have clarified. We're changing. We're just responding to these a few. Going back to how the parents lead, right? And he says I lead by example. I think that's crucial. Every week, I'm probably going to leave here and go work out to whatever capacity I can in my garage. My 2-year-old comes out there and he sees me working out. So from one of his earliest memories is going to be dad working out, mom on the bike, whatever. Like that. I never saw my father work out.
Yeah.
Once.
Yeah.
Never once.
Yeah.
Imagine if just like you grew up and you see every time you see he's working out 3-5 days a week.
And you know what? I want to point that out for some parents. First of all, parents who exercise and specifically train jiu-jitsu, like you guys freaking rock.
Yeah.
You guys freaking rock because you understand what your kids are going through. As hard as it is for you, it's just as hard for the kids. Yeah. Doesn't matter that they're younger, their bodies can handle it. It's just as hard for them. For those of you who don't train jiu-jitsu and do work out, but your parents don't see them, because I believe it carries a lot of weight, long-lasting weight if your kids see you work out. I've never seen my dad work out before. And I just mentioned that because I've seen pictures of him, like of all his brothers, he was like the fittest.
Of who?
Of his brothers. My dad had 5 brothers, and he was known to be the fittest, and he was known to be like the athlete and, the outgoing one. I never got to see the physical side of him, but I saw pictures of him.
Yeah.
And seeing my dad, I only saw a few pictures of with him doing sports and activities, and I just and it really carried a lot of weight being able, as I started to grow up, see my dad in his younger days fit. I'll tell you what, that carried just as much weight as watching my dad work out. So if you have the luxury of David working out in the garage, great. Yeah. But if not, take care of your body, take care of your health. Your kids are going to find those moments and reference back. I promise you.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah. And I think, with a lot of that is we don't realize the implications of just kind of sum this up and tie it with a bow regarding the kids. Like that repetition, when they're seeing what they can get away with.
Yeah.
It's not because they don't know the answer.
Yeah.
They're testing you.
Yeah, for sure.
They're testing you. And here's how I know. Scarlett, since I didn't know anything about nutrition, so I'm she has snacks. Like she'll eat, junk food. Like we permit it sometimes, but I make it very clear that she knows what she's eating, right? So big Scarlett. All right, those cookies they have a lot of sugar. Sugar will make your tummy ache. It'll make you sick, right? It's not good for you.
Yeah.
You can have a little bit, but you shouldn't have a lot of that. We have protein cookies here. And so one day we were just at the gym. I was like, let me check out these cookies. So I open a bag. She's like, Dada, those are cookies. We can't have those. Those aren't healthy for you. And I'm like, well, like that. So it's funny. Now we remember that cookies aren't healthy for us. But when you want cookie, right? But so they're listening and they're watching
Yeah.
Like they're like miniature living, breathing YouTube channels, taking it all in. It never goes away. It never gets deleted.
Yeah.
They're watching what they see. If you say no junk food, and then here's your vegetables, and then you're having a hamburger with fries.
Yeah.
You know, like what? Like there's a disconnect.
And
well, how come you're allowed to have that, but I'm not?
If you're not having psychological warfare with your children, something is wrong. This is normal.
Yeah.
This is normal. When I talk about psychological warfare, they're trying to invade, get in your brain and just destroy you. Like that's so normal. Like kids are going to test and push the boundaries and take the path of least resistance, eat the food that tastes the best. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a game that's happening over many, many years. And getting back to what we were saying, it takes repetitive messages that are being sent to them. And yeah, so it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, for sure. So that's pretty much it. That was a full, and summer's not, I think it's March 20th. It's barely spring. First day of spring was what, yesterday?
Was it?
21st, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Hey, Siri, when's the first day of spring? March 20th. All right. So
Sunday.
I thought it was 21st. I thought it was the spring, which is solstice, equinox. Anyway, so that's it, guys. So we obviously talking about summer. Our summer program we're like half full on that. A lot of it's just repeat people. If you're looking for like,
we're more than half full.
Yeah, is it more now?
Yes,
yeah,
we're more than half full.
This is not daycare. I don't do daycare. Okay, again, everything we talked about, like I'm not gonna just watch your kids and hold them in a latchkey and throw them an iPad and then charge you for it. It's the most active program in the area, nonstop. Everything we talked about, healthy choices, healthy decisions, jiu-jitsu, of course, field trips all included. metrosummercamp.com. You can check that out. And it's just $49 to save their spot. So and other than that,
no, guys, if you have any more questions, post them on our page. And then like right there's a like button, like and share. Do us a favor. Help us spread the word for martial arts. And if you know anybody, tag them. Follow us. Any more questions, just post them up on our page, and we'd be happy to reconnect with you.
Awesome. As always, guys, we'll see you
on the mats.